When Daniel wheeled his black suitcase to the door that Thursday morning, everything seemed normal. He kissed my forehead, smiled in that calm, familiar way, and said, "Just 3 days, love. I'll be back before you even miss me." He always said that, and he was always right. I missed him before the cab even turned the corner. I watched him through the window, a lump in my throat that I couldn't explain. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't suspicion. Just something strange. That quiet hum of unease you feel when the world looks perfect, but your heart knows something's off. He was going to Chicago for a business conference, or so he said. 3 days of meetings, dinners, and presentations. He even showed me the itinerary. "Don't stay up late reading those crime novels again," he teased as he walked out the door. I laughed. "Don't forget to call me tonight." He didn't forget, but the call that came later felt different. That night, Daniel called around 8:30. His voice was warm, reassuring, but there was noise in the background. Clinking glasses, chatter, a faint melody. "Team dinner," he said when I asked. "Just celebrating the first day. You know how it goes." I knew corporate dinners could sound like that. Except something in his tone was off, forced laughter, a little too much enthusiasm. "Who are you with?" I asked lightly. "Oh, just the usual team. Brad, Sarah, a few from marketing." I smiled, pretending to believe him. "Tell them I said hi." "Will do," he said, but his voice wavered just slightly, enough to make my chest tighten. After we hung up, I went through our shared calendar on my phone. A small habit I'd picked up after years of scheduling mix-ups. There it was. Business trip. Chicago. Except there was one thing missing. His hotel booking. Daniel was meticulous. He never forgot to sync his reservations. Always. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I thought he was lying, but because I was afraid I might be right. Friday morning, I got an email from our joint credit card company. Just a routine, unusual activity alert. Normally, I'd ignore it. Daniel traveled often, but this one caught my eye. $146.23. The Garden Room, Milwaukee. Milwaukee? My stomach flipped. That wasn't Chicago. Maybe he had a connecting flight? Maybe the team stopped somewhere for dinner? I opened the receipt. It was for 2 entrees, 2 glasses of wine, and a shared dessert. The note on the bill read, "Happy anniversary, D&C." Anniversary? D&C? I froze, rereading it until the words blurred. My name is Anna. The rest of that day, I moved like a ghost. Made coffee, folded laundry, pretended to work. But every time my phone buzzed, my pulse raced. Daniel texted in the afternoon. "Long day. So tired. Can't wait to be home." I stared at the message. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Should I ask? Should I say something? Instead, I typed back, "Miss you. Get some rest." Because maybe, just maybe, there was an explanation. That night, I opened our shared credit statement again. 2 more charges from Milwaukee, a boutique hotel, a flower shop. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just sat on the couch, phone in hand, heart in pieces, whispering, "Please let there be another reason." By Saturday, I couldn't take it anymore. I called Claire, my best friend since college, blunt, loyal, and allergic to lies. When I told her what I found, she didn't gasp or comfort me right away. She just said quietly, "Do you want the truth, or do you want to feel better?" "The truth," I whispered. "Then start with this. People don't make dinner reservations with fake initials." Her words hit hard, but she wasn't wrong. She paused, then added, "Do you want me to check something for you? My cousin works in Milwaukee. At the Garden Room, actually." My heart pounded. "Can you?" Already texting her, she said. The next few minutes felt like hours. When her cousin replied, Claire read it out loud. Yes, he was here Thursday night. A man in his 30s, with dark hair. Said it was their anniversary. He was with a woman, blonde, maybe mid-30s. They looked happy. And just like that, my world tilted. Saturday evening, I opened Daniel's Instagram. He never posted much, but his coworker, Sarah, did. Scrolling through her stories, I froze. There he was, Daniel, sitting in a restaurant, laughing with a group, except it wasn't the same restaurant from the bill. This was clearly Chicago. The timestamp? Friday night. So, he had been in Chicago, at least part of the time. Then my mind raced. Maybe the Milwaukee charge was before the conference started. Maybe he stopped there on the way. But why with another woman? Why the initials DNC? That night, I finally allowed myself to cry. Silent, shaking sobs into a pillow, so my 7-year-old daughter, Lily, wouldn't hear. When I tucked her in later, she looked at me with her big brown eyes and asked, Mommy, why are you sad? I'm not, sweetheart, I lied. Just tired. But kids know. She hugged me tight, whispering, It's okay. Daddy always comes home. And that broke me even more. Sunday evening, Daniel came home. He walked through the door smelling of cologne and airports, smiling like everything was normal. Hey, love, he said, setting his suitcase down. You have no idea how good it feels to be back. I wanted to scream, to ask who he bought roses for, who C was. Instead, I said softly, Dinner's in the oven. We ate in silence, the air between us thick with things unsaid. He asked about Lily, work, even the dog, but never once mentioned his trip. Later, as we climbed into bed, he kissed my forehead again. Everything okay? He asked. I stared into the dark. Of course. But the truth was, nothing was okay. And I was starting to realize I didn't want to keep pretending. The next morning, after dropping Lily at school, I sat across from Daniel at breakfast. There's something I need to ask you, I said quietly. He looked up, mid-sip. Sure, what's up? Were you in Milwaukee last Thursday? His spoon froze. Just for a fraction of a second, but I saw it. Milwaukee? No, why? I slid my phone across the table. The restaurant bill glowed on the screen. He stared at it, color draining from his face. Oh, he murmured. That must be a mistake. Maybe the company card. Don't, I said. My voice trembled. It was your card, our joint one. He sighed, rubbing his temples. Anna, I can explain. Then explain, I whispered. But he didn't. Not really. He just said, it wasn't what you think. The oldest lie in the book. That night, Daniel finally sat me down. His eyes were red, his voice low. It was Claire, he said. My stomach dropped. Claire, my friend Claire? No, not your Claire. Her name's Clara. She was a coworker. He paused, as if searching for the right words. We had a project together for months. We got close. Too close. My pulse roared in my ears. He kept talking. I didn't plan for anything to happen. We were in Milwaukee for a client meeting before the conference. We had dinner. One thing led to another. My world shattered. Not with a scream, but with silence. He reached for my hand. I pulled it back. I ended it, he said quickly. Right after that night. It meant nothing, Anna. I swear. But lies and nothing don't belong in the same sentence. I spent that night on the couch, staring at the ceiling, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator. He cheated. He lied. And yet, part of me still loved him. That was the cruelest part. In the morning, he found me still awake. He knelt beside the couch, eyes swollen. I'll do anything, he whispered. Therapy, counseling, whatever it takes. I looked at him, the man I'd built a life with, the man who'd carried me through my mother's death, who'd held Lily on her first day of school, who'd once promised me forever. And I realized maybe forever doesn't mean never hurt. Maybe it means fight, even when it hurts. I can't promise I'll forgive you, I said quietly, but I can promise I'll try to understand. He nodded, tears in his eyes. That's all I'm asking for. When I dropped Lily at school later, she hugged me again and said, "See, Mommy? Daddy came home." I smiled faintly. Yes, sweetheart, he did. But as I drove away, I knew this wasn't the end of our story. It was only the middle, and what came next would decide who we truly were. The days after Daniel's confession felt like walking through fog. We spoke, but only about Lily or groceries. Every word about us hovered unsaid, too heavy to carry. At night, we slept in the same bed, yet miles apart. He reached for me once, in the dark, his hand brushing mine, but I pulled away. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to forgive. Mostly, I just wanted to stop feeling broken. One morning, while packing Lily's lunch, I noticed Daniel standing by the doorway, watching me. His face was pale, tired. "I found a therapist," he said quietly. "Couples counseling. I already booked the first session, if you'll come." I wanted to refuse, to tell him it was too late, but something in his voice stopped me. "Okay," I said finally. "I'll come." It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a beginning. Our therapist, a calm woman named Dr. Patel, had kind eyes and a voice that felt like warm water. She asked us to sit facing each other. "Anna," she said gently, "why are you here?" I hesitated. "Because I don't know whether I want to stay." Daniel's shoulders tensed. Dr. Patel nodded. "And Daniel?" He took a deep breath. "Because I want to be the man she used to trust." For the next hour, we untangled years of small things we'd ignored. Late nights, unspoken resentments, the way we'd let routine replace connection. It hurt, but it also made something shift inside me, the tiniest spark of understanding. Before we left, Dr. Patel said, "Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without bleeding." Those words stayed with me. That night, after Lily went to bed, I found a small leather notebook on the kitchen counter. Daniel had left it there with a sticky note. "I don't expect you to talk to me every day, but maybe you can write instead." Curious, I opened it. The first page was his handwriting. Day 1. "I'm sorry. Not just for what I did, but for every time I made you feel unseen." Every night after that, he added a page. Quiet confessions, memories, promises. At first, I didn't write back. I didn't know how. But one night, after reading his 5th entry, something cracked open inside me. I wrote one line. "I'm not ready to forgive you, but I still want to believe in us." And that was enough to start something new. 2 weeks later, a storm hit, both outside and inside our home. I'd had a long day at work. Daniel was late picking up Lily from school. When he finally walked in, drenched and apologetic, something in me snapped. "Do you even care anymore?" I shouted. "About her? About us?" He froze, guilt flickering across his face. "Anna, please." "No," I cried. "You say you want to fix this, but how can I trust you when you can't even be on time?" Lily peeked from the hallway, eyes wide. That stopped me cold. I knelt down, hugging her tight, whispering, "I'm sorry, baby." Later that night, Daniel and I sat in silence. Then he said quietly, "You're right. I've been showing up too late, in every way that matters, but I'm here now, and I'm not leaving. It wasn't eloquent, but it was honest. A week later, a letter arrived. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting from a birthday card Daniel once got. Clara. I stared at it for hours before opening it. Inside was a short note. Anna, I'm writing because I think you deserve to know the truth. Daniel told me he was married. I ended it that same night. I didn't mean to hurt you. I hope you find peace, with or without him. Clara. I read it twice. There was no malice, no justification, just regret. For the first time, I realized this wasn't just about betrayal. It was about two people who had both made mistakes in a world too full of loneliness. That night, I put the letter in the notebook. Daniel saw it later and looked at me, tears in his eyes. I didn't ask her to write that, he whispered. I know, I said softly, but I'm glad she did. Spring came early that year. One Sunday, Lily asked if we could plant flowers in the backyard. Daniel hesitated. He hated gardening. But he smiled and said, Sure, why not? As we dug the soil, Lily laughed, splattering mud everywhere. For the first time in months, we all laughed together. At one point, Daniel looked at me and said quietly, You know what's funny? The garden room, the restaurant, I'll never forget that name. And now here we are, planting something new. It was a small moment, but in that second, I saw something genuine in his eyes. Not guilt, not fear, but hope. Maybe gardens and marriages weren't so different. Both needed care, time, and forgiveness. One evening, Daniel came home with a small box in his hand. I frowned. Please tell me that's not what I think it is. He smiled faintly. It's not a ring. Well, not a new one. Inside was my old wedding ring. I hadn't worn it since the night I found the restaurant bill. I had it cleaned, he said quietly. Thought maybe you'd want it back, but only if you choose it again. For you, not for me. I took the ring, feeling its familiar weight. For the first time in months, I didn't feel anger holding it, just memory. I'll think about it, I whispered, and I meant it. In June, Lily's school held a small play. She was a sunflower, beaming in a yellow costume, waving from the stage. Daniel and I sat side by side, our hands brushing accidentally. When Lily spotted us, her whole face lit up. She waved so hard she almost fell over, and the entire audience laughed. I turned to Daniel. She's happy, I said. He smiled. Maybe we're doing something right then. And for the first time, I realized how much effort he'd been making. Therapy, open honesty, no more secrets. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Healing wasn't about forgetting what happened. It was about choosing to see what could still be saved. Almost a year later, Daniel suggested dinner. Just us, he said. I hesitated. The word anniversary still stung. But I agreed. He booked a restaurant, not the garden room, but a quiet little Italian place near the lake. When we arrived, I noticed something. 2 empty glasses of wine waiting at the table. Daniel smiled softly. I thought we'd make new memories to replace the old ones. Halfway through dinner, he reached across the table. Anna, I know I can't erase the past, but if you'll let me, I'll spend the rest of my life building a better one with you. I looked at him, really looked, and saw not the man who betrayed me, but the man who fought to come back. And for the first time, I believed him. A few nights later, I sat in our backyard, the same spot where we'd planted the garden. The flowers had bloomed beautifully, wild and stubborn. I took off my necklace, the one holding my wedding ring, and slipped it back onto my finger. Daniel stepped outside quietly. Does that mean what I think it means? I smiled faintly. It means I'm choosing us, not because it's easy, but because it's real. He didn't say anything, just wrapped his arms around me. And for the first time in a long time, the silence between us wasn't heavy. It was peaceful. Later that night, as I tucked Lily into bed, she looked up at me and said, "Mommy, the flowers are so pretty." "They are," I said softly. "They grew stronger after the storm." And in that moment, I realized, so did we.